maybe you should take a break. You could have hurt some innocent people.
Innocent people? You mean I've been hurting guilty people?
Hi everyone, and welcome to Priority Holder, and today I'll be playing Budget Mono Black Lurrus Aggro in the Timeless format. Now, as you can imagine, it's a little bit difficult to play budget lists in Timeless. Like, there's just a really high power level, and a lot of the awesome cards are rares and mythics. But we're trying to do it here with 9 rares. 4 of them being spent on Orcish Bowmasters, which needs no introduction, it's super strong. 4 of them spent on Dark Ritual, which in paper is a common. It's sort of annoying with the spare rare wild cards, but it's the reality. And 1 on Lurrus herself. And so that's where our rares are going to, and everything else sort of fits into like a Lurrus shell package. So what we're trying to do is disrupt the opponent and then beat them down with like aggressive threats. So our disruption comes in the form of 4 copies of Duress, 4 copies of Fatal Push, and 4 copies of Deep-Cavern Bat. So we basically have 8 ways to attack the opponent's hand, and once we've hopefully disrupted their plan, we're going to beat down with efficient threats like Cult Conscript, Forsaken Miner, and Okiba Reckoner Raid, and also the Gifted Aetherborn. But yeah, that's the plan. Let's see if the budget deck can hold its own in Timeless. This is a reasonable hand. No 1-drops, no Dark Ritual, but we got some Baubles and 2 bats to disrupt our opponent. Opponent leads on Forest, Bauble, Ornithopter, Cracking Bauble. Interesting opening from the opponent. Most often you see Ornithopters played in Stormless. So we're just going to double Bauble and pass. Now this is a mistake for me. I should have did an upkeep, check the top card. It would have just given us an additional card's information in their hand. So we now know they have a Deadly Dispute coming, and Witherbloom Apprentice confirms that they're a Storm deck. So tiny mistake of missing out on a little bit of information, but let's see what we draw. Okay. Seems like Deep-Cavern Bat is the best play right here. We just want to disrupt whatever they have going on, and wow, are we glad we did. Now their mana is a little awkward, like with these forests. So they're not close to casting Necro, even with like the Deadly Dispute. Like, so we're going to take Demonic Tutor. That's the most dangerous card at the moment. And I set the upkeep stop now when it's not useful, so get there eventually. So the opponent has a Deadly Dispute. Alright, so then they just crack Ornithopter right away. Witherbloom Apprentice is going off. Witherbloom Apprentice triggers a drain 1 every time they cast or copy a spell. So it can accelerate their storm kills by requiring a lower storm count. Another Deep-Cavern Bat is just going to rip apart their hand. Yeah, taking away Necro seems to be like really important. They already have 2 black sources right now, and they have 2 more in hand. So taking away Necro is going to like really slow them down and should hopefully buy us like a lot of time. So we're going to attack him with the bat and play Okiba Reckoner Raid just to get that going. It takes some time to get moving. The opponent's just going to seize the opportunity with a reasonable storm count to far off weather the storm, which is a kill condition with Witherbloom Apprentice out. So we're just going to get drained a few times, and they're going to pad their life total and basically just buy themselves a lot of time. Yeah, we just have some 1/1s out right now. The opponent has their Bone Saw ready, and we know they have a land in hand, so the Bone Saw is storm count and also fodder for Deadly Dispute. Just doing. I always have to be conscious of the graveyard for Lurrus in these decks. Now I've noticed the opponent has already been sort of aggro with their Witherbloom Apprentice, so that's why I did not bring Lurrus to hand here, is that we're hoping to ambush them with Orcish Bowmasters. Now Deadly Dispute's a good draw for them because it's going to allow them to cash in the Saw for some action that they're hoping for. Alright, so opponent mustered a little bit of a storm count, and they're just going to Tendrils us, which effectively deals 3 because of the Witherbloom Apprentice. And I like the opponent just going for it, and it's going to pad their life total. I think they're probably counting on spiking like some more card draw or Necro, and this is playing into our plan though. Bowmasters is going to take down Witherbloom Apprentice and help us really slow them down a lot. Then we have another Bowmasters, which is just really nice draw. Okay, Reckoner Raid flips. And yeah, so step one is to crash in with everyone. Send the troops in, and like it's going to take a little time, but the opponent has nothing going on. And we're definitely going to Bowmasters away the Ornithopter because it is fodder for Deadly Dispute. We want to just limit them as much as possible. We put Lurrus into hand here, and alright, opponent finds a Castle Lochthwain, and it's going to trigger Bowmasters. So like we're still a couple of turns away from killing him, but it's looking pretty grim for the opponent right now. And yeah, they just pack it in. So if you like seeing budget beatdowns, please mana leech the like button. Thank you, and we're on to the next one. We do have 1-drops. It is a 1-lander. This is a Trust the Bauble hand. Would love to draw like a Dark Ritual. Okay, so another land is pretty great though. Gonna lead with Forsaken Miner. It's Bowmasters resistant compared to Cult Conscript, and we're gonna go and play out both Baubles. Now, if the intent is to crack both of them, once again, I should set an upkeep step. You can crack them right now, but against a black deck with Thought Seizes, like, you sometimes want to protect those Bauble cards. However, especially with the fact that our miner's dead, Mishra's Bauble commits a crime when we target the opponent, so we can use one of them to bring back the miner. So that's why I didn't bother with the upkeep step here, but if we were planning on cracking both of them, it'd be good practice. So getting hammered with the Thought Seize and Inquisitions on the horizon for the opponent, leaving the Mishra's Bauble uncracked to bring back the miner. So Duress is an amazing draw right here. It's going to allow us to sort of see what's going on and do some of our own interruption. And we're going to bring miner back. Turns out didn't need to use the Bauble for that purpose. Okay, so it's obviously a Jund deck, and they have Blood Moon, which does nothing to us, Lightning Bolt, and Tarmogoyf. So yeah, obviously the pick is Lightning Bolt, and that's going to strand them with all unplayable cards until they draw Inquisition right now. So they're obviously going to fire it off. And we're just going to Bauble right now, see what they have going on. Another Tarmogoyf, so their mana base is punishing them right now. They're just running into a bit of bad luck. And we're running into some Flood, which is not ideal, but the opponent, we know they're at least doing nothing for the next turn, and we're bringing Lurrus to hand, and we have like a bunch of Baubles in the graveyard, you know, so like we'll be able to do something. And this is going to be like a pretty decent turn for us right here. We can't quite bring Deep-Cavern Bat back right now, but we will be able to next turn, barring like a Lightning Bolt or a push from the opponent. But it's looking grim for them already. We're going to play Reckoner Raid. Once again, it takes a little while to get going, so it's best to like play that right away. And now I'm finally doing the technical part right, setting the upkeep stop to see what they're drawing with that. Deathrite Shaman is at least a castable card for them, and it does unlock the rest of their hand. But we have a massive amount of pressure, and yeah, they just pack it in. They fell behind too quickly, so we move on to the next one. Another solid but unexciting hand. Alright, so opponent's going to hammer us with Thought Seize off the Watery Grave. And yeah, we draw a Reckoner Raid. Once again, I like playing those out early because, you know, it takes a little while for it to get going and become a attacking creature. So surveil land from the opponent and pass. The opponent's already at 14 based on from the Thought Seize and the Shocking and the Raid, so definitely going to Deep-Cavern Bat, and are we glad we did? It's a Show and Tell deck, and thankfully they only have one copy of Show and Tell right now, and they didn't have a Brainstorm to like hide it from the Deep-Cavern Bat, so pretty amazing we're able to take Show and Tell. Now we gotta kill them quick enough before they find anything. Alright, so it's just a land on top. Alright, so they draw it. And it is a Surveillance, okay, so they've been an Omniscience, and we gotta hurry up and kill them before they can, because their hand is loaded. Like, they just need a Show and Tell or like some sort of Impulse Effect or a Brainstorm. So we're deploying as much stuff as possible. Playing Orcish Bowmasters right now where we know it is safe and can't be hit with like Stern Scolding, which I'm not even certain they run, but let's see. My opponent has another land. And we're going to bring Lurrus to hand and send the troops in. And opponent essentially right now has one more draw. So they're going to check that draw. And if they find a show and tell, it looks like they did not, and they pack it in. So happy to win against show and tell. And yeah, let me know in the comments what's like a go-to budget card of yours. Alright, move on to the next one. Alright, opponent plays a Triumph. Crack the Bauble. And seeing it tracks on top. Dark Ritual is an amazing draw out there. It's going to allow us to have a really explosive turn right now. I'm assuming that we're playing against show and tell, but they don't usually open on those Triumphs. And you see this hand, it starts becoming clear that we're playing a domain deck, but not like domain aggro with like Nakatls and Neshoba Brawlers and stuff. I would call this like big domain with, you know, they have lofty ambitions at Atraxa and herd migration and stuff like that, but Fable the Mirrorbreaker seems the most problematic, though. The opponent has a lot of weapons. They got 2 tribal flames, so we're gonna have our work cut out for us. And the annoying thing is Lurrus is face up, so they know they have to probably save one of those for Lurrus. We're going to bring it to hand anyway, though. Alright. Let's see if they... Alright, they found another Fable. That one's tough because it gives them 2 creatures to, like... You know, that we have to chew through. But Dark Ritual's pretty nice because this allows us to play Lurrus and Bauble. We're gonna go. They don't appear to have hand disruption, so alright, another Atraxa on top is basically nothing. So we're gonna Fatal Push the creature and crash in. I'm feeling pretty good that they're at 6, but the opponent still has a lot of interaction in hand. The swamp right there is a pretty terrible draw. And the opponent finds 1 ring, which is it's pretty bad because we already know they have 2 answers in hand, and like they're getting close to like just casting a herd migration. So this is a no attack hand. At least we can replay the Bauble, you know. So Fable flips and gives them a blocker. Tribal Flames. You know, we knew Lurrus was probably not long for this world. We were trying to like aggro them out, and that 1 ring was like a perfect draw. A Leyline Binding is also not a good sign for us, but like the opponent is going to be taking ring damage, and they're at 5, you know. So, all right, the opponent passes to us. All right, here comes our Bauble draw, and all right, so we at least draw some more threats right now. The opponent has a blocker. They're going to be taking damage from the 1 ring, so they block the Cult Conscript, and yeah. We can only bring Cult Conscript back if a non-skeleton died under our control, so it is a bit of a non-bow with like Forsaken Miners in our deck. And decide to play the Swamp in case the opponent like Tribal Flames the Aetherborn, then we can return the Cult Conscript, you know. So that's the reason we're playing it there. So opponent is going to discard Herd by Migration to gain a little bit of life, to buy them some more time against their ring. And Tribal Flame is one of our things. Wisely not hitting the non-skeleton. Dark Rituals. A dead draw for us right now, so we're really hopeful, but opponent has Leyline Binding. And they're going to gobble up Aetherborn. And they're going to fall to 2 right here. So they die from ring damage, barring something. And the opponent has another Herd Migration. Okay, so they bought themselves more time. But unless they find a ring to reset that, they have to take 2 damage each turn. But the thing is, they're getting close to Atraxa, and they found a Wrath, which is really bad for us because we were like out of gas. So we find another threat, and the opponent's going to fall to 1 on their upkeep. So we're like so close right now, but the opponent just hard casts Atraxa. And they're going to get the big Atraxa draw right now, and we have so many ways to win right now. We have Orcish Bowmasters and we have Okiba Reckoner Raid. So like we have a lot of live draws just to end the game immediately. And the opponent has the Herd Migration in hand. So, and unfortunately for us, it is not one of our instant wins right here. So holding on for dear life, but it looks really grim because the opponent's going to just Herd Migration again to protect themselves from the One Ring, and now they have a non-summoning sick Atraxa coming in, and that probably seals it for the opponent because they gain a chunk of life. Archangel Wrath with both kickers is going to gain them even more life, and not to mention like just demolish our forces. So opponent did a great job navigating this and just sort of found just enough interaction to hold off. And we just missed on the one turn that we could have maybe spiked a kill. So we pack this one in and move on to the next one. Always like to see Duress in hand. Just helps, you know, getting information from the opponent in addition to the disruption is just incredible. Alright, turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler from the opponent. Do people still call it Darcy as a nickname? I know that was a thing for a while. Alright, Duress. And actually going to take Light Up the Stage here. Like Kumano is like a threat we'll have to deal with, but this card advantage to Light Up the Stage seems more dangerous, so we are going to get smacked for a bit. Bowmasters is incredible right here. Decide not to just mess with it because Dragon's Rage Channeler on the blink of an eye can like trigger Delirium, you know, like we're just not going to mess with it. We're going to main phase the Bowmasters. Alright, so opponent plots a sharpshooter, and yeah, would take this double block any day of the week, knowing that it's completely safe to take down a Swift Spear. And Dark Ritual, always love to see that like in the early game because then it allows us to just explode. So we're like on the back foot right now, but this allows us to deploy so much. The question is what to do. We have 5 total mana. Decide it's worth it to bring Lurrus to hand to play a Cult Conscript and hold up Fatal Push because the sharpshooter could be really nasty. So let's see what the opponent... Oh, sorry, not the sharpshooter, the Slick Shot Show Off. And this card's making waves in a lot of formats because it has like super prowess, you know, it gets like +2/+0. So, alright, Kumano's Saga is going to do this for 1. Not to mention Pump their stuff. They have another Saga, and yeah, thankfully we had the Fatal Push for the Slick Shot because we would have just been clobbered for a ton of damage right there. So Swift Spear is still coming in, and the opponent has, you know, soon haste creatures when the Sagas flip. But we have Lurrus as a lifelinker. So I'm considering holding off on Lurrus here because we can't cast Bowmasters yet. But decide it's important to get in play for the life gain, and it is exposing it to like Lightning Bolt though, so like and the opponent packs it in, so they just didn't find enough, and we had so much stuff they must not have had interaction for Lurrus. So we move on to the next one, and Forest Elvish Mystic from the opponent. We're gonna Fatal Push that. It just, opponent having 3 mana turn 2 just seems like it could be problematic. Like Bowmasters is such a clean answer, but we just can't do it yet. So in board, we're glad we did because we see the Elite come down, which would have made an extra elf, and like obviously we're playing elves right now. It would have, you know, the opponent's name is an indicator of that. Also, Lead the Stampede. They are all in on that elf life. So they're sending in, and we're gonna play Orcish Bowmasters. I was keeping it up in case they played one of the like 1 toughness lords, but we'll happily just take another elf off the battlefield. No play from the opponents. They must have like an awkward hand that's like all Cocos or something like that. So we're gonna play Reckoner Raid. The question is, do we like play our other 1-drops or do we hold up Bowmasters? I'm paranoid from the elves like pumping each other, so I'm hoping to like use Bowmasters to just keep trimming things down. Opponent plays Besage, and there's a Coco, so let's see what they hit. And just horrible luck from the opponent, just only 1 hit, and it's the Shaman of the Pack. And the question is, do we play Bowmasters now or save it? And once again, I'm really paranoid for their lords and stuff, so I'm decided to hold on to it. But we can play our other stuff. Play another Okiba Reckoner raid and a Cult Conscript. Hoping to start overwhelming them soon. And now this allows us to still keep up Bowmasters. It does delay Lurrus by a bit. This is super scary right here. A natural order. I'm thinking like, do they have like a Titan of Industry or something? But opponent just, they must have a Crater Hoof that they're saving for like when it matters. But we're just able to like tear them apart right now with this Elvish Visionary with the Bowmasters. Like, it's just gonna be a bloodbath. They're gonna draw this card. We're gonna get 2 more Bowmasters triggers. Things are just going horrifically for them. Our sagas are going off, and yeah, they just pack it in. It was about to get real nasty for them. So the opponent did get a bit unlucky, but we were able to just punish them and close the game out. All right, Reckoner raid on turn 1. Probably gonna have Deep-Cavern Bat turn 2. All right, Cenote Scout, and they're going to bend the Spell Pierce. And yeah, we're definitely going to lead with Bat right here, just try and disrupt them. An opponent kept a 1-lander. With the Cenote Scout, I would do that also. So there's an argument for Spreading Seas because it draws them a card, but honestly, like the Hex Catcher seems like their strongest thing and the nearest thing they can cast. So go ahead and take the Hex Catcher with the Bat. The opponent's going to send in, and it looks like they missed a land again. So our Reckoner raid's gonna flip, and could have brought like Lurrus to hand, but seems pretty good to hold up Fatal Push to like, just in case we need it. Alright, so opponent did find a Shoreline Scout. So this is like an alchemy card that lets them pitch like a merfolk or land and like conjure a tropical island into hand. So that's gonna fix their mana problems. And let's see what the opponent does, and the opponent doesn't attack. Decide to kill the 2/2 because that's going to unlock all of our attacks, because the Shoreline Scout is currently a 1/1, so it's going to allow us to just keep pressuring them. And we are flooding out a bit, but Lurrus is going to be something to do with our mana at least. Alright. Now, I like this play from the opponent. Like, they could have just played a 2/2 Merfolk, but they know their best chance of winning is getting to like Collected Company. So I really like this play from them. They're playing to win, instead of playing to not lose, for example. So I really like the play of Spreading Seas to get the land drops to get to Coco, because that is how they can get back into this game. Now we, on the other hand, are trying to prevent that as much as possible. So we have Lurrus, and we finally drew another piece of action. We have the Miner. So the opponent's in a really dire spot here, especially with like a fetch land. So like they can Coco, but it puts them down to 1, and like I don't know if a Coco could even get them out of this, but we just show them the Reckoner raid, and yeah, they pack it in. We get the win. It took me a little while to attempt a budget deck in Timeless. Like the power level's so high, and I also wanted to make sure I understood the format well enough to like be able to craft something and use as few rares as possible. And I think I was very pleased with the results of this, and with just 9 rares, we were able to like really hold our own, lock up a lot of wins, and this is just a classic strategy in Magic, just disruption backed by threats. And the 4 Duresses plus 4 Deep-Cavern Bats like really go a long way. Now, if you want to build like a non-budget version of this, I actually already have a video, I'll link it right here, and of the non-budget version. And I think that the number one thing that you could build towards is the mana base. Like you could see some of those games where we're flooding out, like sometimes Lurrus helps, but like being able to include stuff like Hive of the Eye Tyrant, Phyrexian Tower, Takenuma, Mutavault, like really helps mitigate flood and like helps the deck just run smoothly, have more closers, just be have that much more punch to it. But you can also upgrade some of the threats with rares. Like I really like Evolved Sleeper as well as Tenacious Underdog. So but yeah, that's the deck. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to see even more nonsense, please consider subscribing. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for your support. Your engagement with the channel helps me know what the people want. Thank you.